vehicles. They're going to be moving in a few seconds.
Get over her! Get over her!
Let's go!
In light of the ICE kidnappings in Durango just a couple days ago, I decided to start a podcast of short interviews with people in and around La Plata and Montezuma counties to talk about their real experiences. It feels like it's timely to talk about how ICE and DHS agents violently assaulted peaceful protesters in front of Durango's ICE facilities on Wednesday, October 28, 2025. After telling people to disperse, these camouflaged and masked agents opened fire with rubber bullets. They actually pulled down people's goggles and sprayed them directly in the face with pepper spray, and one ICE agent physically assaulted a woman in her 50s, throwing her phone first, then putting her in a chokehold and throwing her down an embankment. Talk about extreme behavior. Because we were protesting the fact that ICE had abducted 2 children and their father from their car as dad was driving kids to school. ICE then put them in handcuffs, brought them to their barbed wire enclosed facility in Durango. And furthermore, ICE would not allow the kids to see their lawyer or mother, and they denied our local police department access to the children, even after first saying the DPD could take the kids into custody and reunite them with their mother. And in a final act of violence and really just complete insanity, after brutalizing a bunch of protesters in the aforementioned heavily armed fashion, they sent the kids to Texas and dad to Denver. It all seems super surreal. It seems even more surreal after chatting with some of the protesters. Here is the first of my short conversations with one of the protesters. Her name is Suze, and we'll leave it at that to protect her from further violence. So Can you tell me how you ended up at the protest in the first place?
I'm a confirmer for the Southwest Rapid Response Network, which is something I went to a training in Cortez a couple of weeks ago and started getting signal chats, or I'm part of a signal chat group that, identifies when ICE has been seen in the area, and then anybody nearby offers to go and basically film. That's more or less all we can do. And we can maybe say something to the detainees, like, you have the right to remain silent, and you have the right to a lawyer in Spanish or in whatever language that we can muster. Anyway, and so that's what happened. And a lot of people went out to Lightner Creek. Then I was just following it over time. People are updating it and they're sending videos, and then they followed them to the ICE detention center, and they said, everybody come down here. Let's try to prevent them from taking these kids to Denver. And the dad, but mainly the kids was who we were concerned about. So that gathering, went on most of Monday, and then a lot of people stayed overnight. I did not stay overnight, and then I came back the next day, and I think they were thinking that at 8:30 in the morning there would be something would happen, because that's 24 hours, and supposedly there's some rule about 24 hours. But at 8:30 nothing happened. There were a couple of weird encounters, which I'm sure now you've seen on the videos, like about 6:30, Francie was, her phone was taken, and one ICE agent kind of lost his temper, and he definitely lost his temper, and he threw her to the ground, and then
he threw her to the ground, or the phone to the ground?
The phone to the ground, and then her violently, like, had her in kind of a chokehold. There's a video out there of it. I'll send it to you, because it came to the signal chat also. And then, which supposedly is being pursued by the Colorado FBI, the FBI and the CBI, Colorado Bureau of Investigation. Anyway, whatever. And then about noon, finally, and now I would say there were maybe 200 to 300 people there. I have no idea. And there were 2 lines of people sitting in lock arm position and locked legs in front of both driveways, exiting the facility. And they had chained the gate shut, and then these...
So the protesters had changed the gates shut.
Yes, the protesters had chained the gates shut, which, we knew was just a it wasn't going to last, right? Like they could remove the chains, which they did. But, and also a little bit earlier, maybe about 10 a.m., we started on the signal chat getting all these notifications of a sightings of Homeland Security in town at Albertsons parking lot. There were 2 Homeland Security cars, which I went to Albertsons and I talked to the guys there, who were drinking coffee, and they were very nice. And they said, we're just here to evaluate the safety of federal property. Clearly, they weren't at Albertsons doing that. They were just having coffee. And obviously, they were there to check out the status of the ICE facility, which they then went to, because I saw that same guy. Around noon, we formed a line in front of the people who were sitting on the ground to block those guys who got out of their vans and their Department of Homeland Security cars and marched toward us, telling us to disperse. This is your final warning. You will be arrested if you don't disperse. I can send you this video too. Maybe I did already. That's of these guys in maybe 10 guys in camo with masks and all this weaponry. And a lot of them are carrying spray bottles of either mace or tear gas or whatever it was. And they also had guns that turns out they were rubber bullet guns. Somebody at one point threw, some incendiary device that made a really loud, like a bomb, like a small bomb or something. I don't even know it.
Do you know who threw it? Was it protesters or was it those DHS guys?
It was the agent, like a flash bomb thing. It was right near the protesters who were sitting on the ground, peacefully sitting there doing nothing. And
wow.
A hideous video that I've seen on Instagram of a guy like the camouflage guy. He's spraying directly into the eyes of a girl who's sitting on the ground doing nothing. And then he violently pulls her by the leg and leaves her in the street. She's screaming. My husband once our line broke up, and then they started breaking up the people sitting on the ground and sawing the chains and finally opening the gate. He got shot in the leg by a rubber bullet. And, a lot of people got shot in the leg. They were shooting randomly. They weren't even aiming at anybody. He was busy helping another friend of ours who'd been sprayed directly in the eyes.
These weren't state patrollers. These were DHS people, or was it like a big mix of them? Was it
front of the phalanx of people, the people who were pulling the protesters? Those were all DHS people. Either guys without masks that said DHS police, kind of black, or the guys in camo who were fully masked and goggles and all kinds of stuff. But there was a whole set of Colorado state troopers. This video, that's a woman who is like confronting these state troopers and saying, you are not allowed to be here. What's your badge number? Who are you? And she actually did. One guy did say his badge number. So I don't know much about the state trooper presence. I saw them there. They're in blue shirts and kind of beige pants.
So then the second line was broken up and...
Yeah. And so then, they moved enough mostly young people, although there were some older people sitting in those, sitting on the ground, being sprayed directly in their eyes. And now there's people writhing all over the ground, screaming. There's a lot of screaming. There's total mayhem, basically. But yeah, the front page of the Durango Herald is the shot of this guy spraying within 3 inches right into her eyes.
Why would they do something like that? These people are sitting peacefully and chanting and that's it. And then these guys come and assault them like that.
They did in front of the gate. I'm sure that these guys would say, we gave them the opportunity to leave. We said, please disperse. And they didn't disperse. So that's when they moved in. But yeah, I almost feel like it would have been better just to physically pull them. If you're going to physically pull them anyway, physically pull them and then don't spray them directly in their eyes with possibly, who knows what kind of damage he's done to their eyes.
It just seems a little extreme. This is like Durango, Colorado.
Here's who we're trying to protect: a man and 2 teenagers who went, to school one day. It's not like these are hardened criminals that we're like protecting or something.
It's just so wild and I am just curious how much it costs to send all these DHS folks here to nab these 2 kids and send them to Texas and separate them from their families. Like the cost to taxpayers and the cost to Colorado taxpayers because of the Colorado state troopers that are there. Like, yeah, why is it so important to deport these 2 kids?
It's astonishing. And yeah, they sent all these people from probably Colorado Springs. I don't even know where the nearest DHS station is, but it's not around here. It's certainly on the Front Range. Yeah, and then there's also two GoFundMe's going for the Jaramillo family, I believe their last name is, and that's like already reached almost $50,000. Really, like, this town is angry as, I mean, if this happens again, there will be very similar things happening, if not bigger.